episode 10 of the Sled Shed. This episode we're going to go over everything that we put on the sleds in the last episodes and tell you how we made out during the season with them, how they worked. I can tell you both sleds have over 1,100 miles on them with this stuff on it, except for one, and we'll go over that. So with that, let's start it. The first thing we put on was the Holtzman Tempoflow, and we reclutched my sled for gas mileage. My sled was only getting 75 miles to the tank. And after the Holtzman Tempoflow and the clutch work, we ended up with 95 miles to the tank full. So we gained 20 miles to the tank full. I cannot say enough about this thing. When it rejets the carburetors and stuff, no matter what temperature you're in, we had the exhaust gas temperature gauge on it, and it ran between 1,100 and 1,200 degrees no matter what temperature you're in. It could be 0, it could be -5, it could be 33 above, and it ran 1,100 to 1,200 degrees constant. Where we had an exhaust gas temperature on the Indy that doesn't have a Holtzman Tempoflow, and when you got up to the 33 degrees, it was running a little cool, like it was down to 800 degrees. So you're loading up your sled. That thing ran flawless. I would definitely recommend it to anybody. The second thing we put in was the electric start on the Indy. That worked great all year. Didn't have trouble with it. That was a good eBay find, I can tell you that. And we had no problems with it. We put throttle locks on the sleds, and we went over trailer locks for the trailers. I can tell you, I guess they work because I still have both the sleds and I have the trailer. So, and they sat out in the weather and they didn't rust, and you can stick a key in them and no problem. We put an LED brake light on my sled after we put the tunnel bag on because it hid my brake light. That's an SLP brake light. While SLP makes a good brake light, it's not bright enough in the daylight for the person behind you to see compared to a stock brake light. That's the only problem I had with it. Wiring was easy. Putting it on was simple, but during the day, it's just not bright enough. I had a couple of people come up to me and say, "Hey, I can't see your brake light." I had to physically point to it and show them where it was. We put carb boots on the Indy and the XC. No problem with them. They're still holding up. But, like I said before in the video, I will not let carb boots on a sled past 2 years. Only because they do crack, they will crack, and they're cheap enough and it's easy enough to change. Just use your rule of thumb, every 2 years, change them out. We put on the TAS system. I like the TAS system. I think it works well. It's easy to hook up. The only problem I have is I end up second guessing myself as to whether the person coming at me that doesn't have one knows what they're looking at. That's the only thing, that's the only question I have. Other than that, I love them. I can ride there all day without putting my hand up if I want. But when those people come at you and they put their hand up and they're staring at you like they're waiting for you to put your hand up, I don't know if they're staring at the light or they're waiting for me to put the hand up. That's the only thing I have. Max studs. The Max studs performed great. I love the traction that they gave me as far as acceleration and stopping in ice conditions and snow conditions. The only thing, I didn't have a problem with the studs, I had a problem with the track. The tracks that I got for it started falling apart. So we changed it out and we ended up putting a big paddle track on without the studs because the studs were too short, and that's the product we didn't get the full 1,000 miles out of, or 1,100, but from what I rode on them, they're still like brand new. and I didn't have any bend, I didn't have any brake. Just the track gave out and spit 2 out, which went to the last episode, episode 9, and we had the heat exchanger we had to put in because we threw one through a heat exchanger. And the heat exchanger is still working, and it works great. And that was another eBay find that was really good. The parts that I put on that I found out of eBay, I can tell you with a word of caution, when you buy, make sure you know who you're buying from. I bought off there enough that I only buy off of certain guys, and if it's somebody new, I make sure that their feedback is 98 or better positive. There's no way I'll trust anybody else. With that, that's the end for this year. We will be back around July. We're going to start working on this sled here and making videos around July. I will say this, next year we are going to work on a little bit different sled than Polaris. I mean, we're going to work on Polaris too, but there's going to be another sled here in the stable that's not going to be Polaris. So we're going to have a little variety next year. And we're going to change some things around, and hopefully our video production will be even better. So stick around and look us up in July. And if I don't see you before, we'll see you out on the trail.
Rise